Yeah, so Donald Trump actually banned this app in the United States.
Well, he's threatening to. He gave 45 days,
Mm-hmm.
and if, if nothing happens, if no Americans buy the application, yes.
So you're going to talk about this today, right?
Yes, that sounds like
Okay. I actually use this every day. Imagine without this app.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also use it, and I would I have a show account. I also have a TikTok account, but on this phone I only have a Douyin account, and there it is. Wait till you
Oh.
check it out. I actually don't have too many fans, but I just posted some videos that some fun parts. The crabfish when I was in
Oh,
Wuhan,
you're in
where
Wuhan,
the
yeah.
where the 钳子, how do you say, the powerful claws
Oh.
of the crabfish actually cut the glove of our cameraman. That was quite
Oh.
funny. Anyway, so let's go and talk about TikTok. And all right,
Okay.
enjoy.
Thank you. All right. It's 11. So the show's gonna start. Director, I'm ready. You can cut to the live.
Welcome to Headline Buster, brought to you by The Point with me, Liu Xin. In this series, I dissect stories that are making headlines around the world and talk to my guests to compensate for the missing pieces of the puzzle. So join us in real time by sending us your comments or questions via the CGTN page on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Weibo. If you're watching this live on the CGTN application, email me at thepointwithlx@cgtn.com. Let me know what you think. We start our live streaming every Friday at 11 a.m. Beijing time, so do get in touch and I might read out your comments. Speaking of which, let's read some of the comments we've received from our viewers via social media. And this one first from Adam R. Who helped China to grow up? Is not a capitalism countries like US. History teach us that China as a communist country still is a communist regime. If US didn't open international market to China, I'm not sure that now China could almost, yes, almost not really be a developed country. I think I get what you wanted to say. Well, I think just because you are accepted by your friends, you still have to work hard and grow up yourself, right? It's like you can watch my show to learn English, but you still have to practice on your own. Next comment from Michael C888. America elected itself as a world cop because it no longer wants to see another world war after World War II. That is the reason for all the USA military battles around the world after World War II. They saw tens of millions dead from all sides. It doesn't want to see communism, socialism, totalitarian, and dictatorial spread around the globe because those are things that could ignite into world wars and also destroys individualism and handcuffs people's freedoms and rights. Well, we all know what American cops are famous for, and it's not peace, freedom, or rights. And judging by the kind of action they're taking now, they're actually doing quite the opposite. It almost feels like they can't wait to provoke China into another war. Is that the kind of peace that the American cop is trying to keep? Finally, Chris Malcolmson. The US never ended the Cold War. It continues to threaten and attack countries that don't do what they want. This kind of attitude belongs in the last century. I realize China has its problems, but it plays the game far better than the US, and they don't like it. Nope, they don't like it at all. It's like a sore loser of a game you design. What do? You say, game over, I'm not playing by my own rules anymore. Or do you say, okay, it's not fun anymore, let me try harder? Or you can say, let's talk and agree on a new set of rules and a new game and see who's better. Anyway, this week, we're going to talk about TikTok, arguably the hottest social media app on the market at this moment. And the United States really doesn't like the rules that they have designed themselves. And this topic has captured the imagination of hundreds of millions of users around the world. Actually, this application I meant. Over 100 million in the US have downloaded alone in the US, and that's according to the company. Now, the application has provided an outlet for creativity and entertainment, especially among Gen Z. I don't think I need to explain here. As coronavirus triggered lockdowns around the world, the app became an even more vital platform for users to connect in hard times. And now the app has become ensnared in a toxic web of politics, profit, and power. Basically, just hours ago, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order that would ban TikTok from operating in the US in 45 days if it's not sold by its Chinese parent company ByteDance. Last week, he already made the threat. Let's take a listen.
We're looking at TikTok. We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options.
Conveniently, an American company, Microsoft, said it's willing to step in and save TikTok's American business. Trump has given Microsoft his blessing to cut a deal by September the 15th. He also says the U.S. government should get money from the sale, though he did not say how that would be accomplished. U.S. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has called the situation a win-win. Does he mean a win for Microsoft and a win for Trump? ByteDance, the app's Beijing-based parent company, sees things differently. The company's founder and CEO Zhang Yiming said in an internal letter that we don't agree with the decision because we have always adhered to protecting users' data and maintaining the platform's neutrality and transparency. Actually, some newspaper articles have compared this deal as a kind of shotgun marriage. Anyway, the company says it stores its data on American users on servers in the US or Singapore. But no matter what the company says or does, and despite having no proof, critics won't listen. That sounds familiar, right? Be bored or be banned. Trump's ultimatum stands. Now, behind the official line that the app poses national security threats by sharing user data with its parent company and ultimately with the Chinese government under China's internet security law, other motivations were also floated. That Trump wants to punish the app after users claim they used the app to help disrupt his rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma by reserving tickets but not using them. Hey, I think they did the right thing if they really did that, because that spared Oklahoma a few unnecessary COVID-19 deaths, possibly. And that Trump is helping American tech companies pluck the ripest fruit from Chinese companies by brokering a deal that boosts U.S. tech giants while taking another swipe at China. See, the U.S. has no monopoly on innovation. Chinese ideas can be good too. Regardless, TikTok users in the US are enraged, with many posting their concerns online.
Whoever's seeing this, keep on fighting. Keep on fighting for this app.
The TikToks, and I just wanted to say to all my 35 followers that, I love you, I support you.
Well, that's unfortunate. The saga is evolving every day, and the outlook isn't looking too friendly for Chinese companies that dare to succeed in the U.S. In fact, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo just released a statement on Thursday urging American companies to bar all Chinese apps, networks, clouds, you name it. He calls it a clean network effort to safeguard American assets and is even calling on American allies and partners to join the growing tide to secure our data from the CCP surveillance state and other malign entities. A clean network coming from the biggest spy nation in the world? That's really ironic. And if anyone can spy on you, it has to be the US of A. Or some people have said, go and poll Germans and ask them whether they want a clean network from the United States. Of course, Pompeo doesn't have the power to enforce such a ban, but it reflects the Trump administration's bigger effort to strangle Chinese companies within the US and around the world. So how are the media covering this story? Are they doing due diligence, asking the right questions, or complicit in the Trump administration's attempt to smear the application? My first example would seem to suggest the latter. The Washington Post on August the 3rd published a piece. It's not just the United States. These governments see TikTok as a growing problem. It's very vague, it's very general, it's very correct, but it's not accurate. Now, the article says, in recent months, as tensions between Washington and Beijing mounted amid the novel coronavirus pandemic, analysts and officials have become increasingly concerned that the app, which is owned by the Beijing-based internet company ByteDance, could give the Chinese government access to a wide range of user data. The article adds, but the United States is not alone. Here are some places that have raised alarm over TikTok going on, and the article goes on to list 8 countries in total. But the countries listed here have vastly different kinds of concerns over the app, even though the headline seems to suggest otherwise. False equivalence. For example, it says India banned the app earlier this summer, which is true, but it did so in the wake of border skirmish with Chinese troops in the Himalayas. And TikTok was just one among 50 other Chinese apps that were banned. So this was much more about politics than any national security concerns. Pakistan and India also appeared on the list, but their concerns are around content, not data collection. It says, for example, Indonesia temporarily banned the app in 2018, citing concerns including pornography, inappropriate content, and blasphemy. Blasphemy? Twitter should be banned for good because there is so much blasphemy against the Chinese people, against China. Now, the ban was lifted less than a week later after the app agreed to censor some of its content, so the problem isn't the same. It's not about data security, and the problem has been resolved. The article also lists the European Union, but then says the EU hasn't issued any formal warning or ban on TikTok, but the app has come under scrutiny from the blog's data protection watchdogs, who launched a probe into its privacy policies in mid-July. Well, okay, but let's not forget that American tech companies like Twitter and Facebook are also knee-deep in controversy under Europe's regulation, which is constantly challenging tech companies over data security. Turkey is also mentioned. The article says Anadolu Agency, Turkey's state-run news agency, announced last month that the country's Personal Data Protection Authority has begun an investigation into TikTok and how the platform handles personal data. But again, it fails to mention that this same authority also fined Facebook just last October 1.6 million lira, or about $280,000 for violating data protection laws, which affected nearly 300,000 people. Of course, all these new apps raise important questions that should be explored, but you can't suggest all the concerns are TikTok specific. The article creates a false impression while missing the whole picture. Interestingly, Australia also appears on the same list. The article says Australia's Prime Minister has instructed the country's intelligence agencies and its Department of Home Affairs to investigate the app's potential security threat and its data and privacy policies. But as our next piece suggests, Australia is not about to ban TikTok. Let's take a closer look at the related reports. Published by Australia's most widely read newspaper, the Sydney Morning Herald, this article gives a more neutral picture. Published on August the 5th, the headline reads, "Buyer beware. Prime Minister says there is no case to ban TikTok." Here we see both sides of the issue laid out. Yes, concerns exist, but no, there is no evidence at this point that justifies banning an app over mere suspicions. The article reads, Australia will not ban TikTok after security agencies found the Chinese company did not pose serious national security concerns, and that Prime Minister Scott Morrison said on Wednesday morning the Australian government had had a good look at whether to ban apps such as TikTok and concluded there was no reason for us to restrict those applications at this point. But it adds that Morrison warned there were still risks that personal data could be sent back to Beijing, and there is a sort of buyer beware process. Yeah, buy it if you want, or don't download it. The article adds that the Australian government will continue to look at ways to manage the privacy concerns posed by social media companies such as TikTok, meaning that TikTok is not the only app raising such concerns. But more importantly, the article calls out that a more nuanced conversation is required rather than a flat-out ban. Overall, it represents a story in a fair and rational way. Finally, we have a Wall Street Journal piece which I would like to commend for pointing out some pretty alarming details. The piece, Trump says U.S. should get slice of TikTok's sale price, published on August the 3rd, explores Trump's unlikely and unsavory role as broker in this hostile takeover, an angle some other media gloss over. The article says Trump claimed he was ready to approve a purchase of the U.S. operations of TikTok, but only if the government receives a lot of money. He said that, a lot of money in exchange, an assertion of presidential power that appeared to lack president. Lack of president is a gentle way of putting it, but the piece didn't shy away from including some more vivid analysis. One analyst says it's completely unorthodox for a president to propose that the U.S. take a cut of a business deal, especially a deal that he has orchestrated. The idea also is probably illegal and unethical. Okay? Another expert argues it was unlikely any payment would stand up, that there is no situation where either Microsoft or the Chinese or TikTok or ByteDance will be sending a check to the U.S. government except in the normal course of their regular tax obligations. But President Trump talked about a lot of money. Yet another said Trump's proposal reminded him of medieval kings who oversaw salt monopolies. If you wanted to mine some salt, you put money into royal treasury. Are we talking about the United States of America, the beacon of the world, the shining city on top of the hill? It really makes you wonder where the limit lies. But perhaps one of the best quotes came from American late-night host Jimmy Fallon. He said, with the coronavirus surging and the economy cratering, President Trump is turning his attention to what's really important, banning TikTok. Apparently, he says, this is a real national security threat. The Chinese government knowing which Americans can and cannot dance. Classic. Okay, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll talk to my guests about the biggest problems, if there are any. Oh yeah, the biggest problems about President Trump's threat to ban TikTok. Stay with me.
Save TikTok. That's what millions of US users are calling for as the app is threatened with a ban.
Whoever's seeing this, keep on fighting. Keep on fighting for this app.
The TikToks, and I just wanted to say to all my 35 followers that, I love you, I support you.
Users are voicing their opposition, directing their anger at President Trump and the US government.
The president is shutting down TikTok because he is afraid of a video sharing app for children.
And some even say they will vote Trump out in the upcoming presidential election. But on Capitol Hill, it seems both Republican and Democratic politicians are standing together. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said this week that the U.S. company should buy TikTok. And thousands of miles away, Chinese netizens have spoken out.
I felt shocked about it because we've been using many apps and software developed by the U.S.
It's clear America is trying to suppress China because we have been growing at a faster pace.
Many Chinese people say they use apps developed by American companies. And software created by both China and the US is used around the world. TikTok has brought many people entertainment and connection, especially during the pandemic. But it seems this political row could push people further apart in just a few weeks.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London, China Global Television Network. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Making sense of the overwhelming wave of information means cutting through the noise to shine a light on the heart of the story and making room for new perspectives. True understanding means the ability to see events from more than one side. I'm Liu Xin, and this is The Point. Back to Headline Buster, brought to you by me, Liu Xin, and I'm pleased to invite our guest for the panel discussion from Shanghai, Professor Shen Yi, Director of International Institution of Cyberspace Governance Research of Fudan University, and from New York City, Margaret Kimberley, Senior Columnist at Black Agenda Report, and a book on U.S. politics and prejudice against black people. So thank you, both of you, for joining us. The latest news that's out this morning is President Trump signed the executive order to give 45 days until no American companies can deal with the parent company of TikTok, which is ByteDance. So Kimberly, Ms. Kimberly, let me go to you first. What do you make of this latest step? What do you think it signifies?
It's a kind of a war against China, frankly, war by other means. The Trump administration is making it clear that it intends to be as hostile towards China as it possibly can be. And they will use diplomacy, they will use commerce, they will use anything at their disposal. So, of course, it seems silly for the president to talk about an app that people use to create entertainment, but it's part of a larger plan for the U.S. to try in vain to stop China's growth as an economic power. The U.S. gave China this economic power by giving it manufacturing capability that the U.S. chose to give up. And now, decades later, there is regret, and the U.S. wants to be the hegemon. And that means fighting China in any way possible, including now making certain that a Chinese corporation cannot make money in this country, and that the president can decide if they can and cannot do business.
Ms. Kimberley, but it's incredible because if you think about the United States, you talk about checks and balances, you talked about democracy where, you know, the president's power or there is no possibility of a mob governing the country, or there is no possibility of a dictator governing the country. And yet, with these executive orders, we're practically seeing someone who's just doing whatever he wants until he is overturned by Congress. And it seems that the Congress is not going to overrule him on this. So basically, he just got his way, you know, even though people criticize this move. Ms. Kimberley.
Yeah, well, I think it's important for us to stop talking about the U.S. as a democracy. The U.S. is not a democracy. We have all of the hostility towards China is bipartisan. So the Republicans and the Democrats are working in tandem. The president has been praised by Democrats. There has been no questioning, no pushback from the Democratic Party, no questioning in the corporate media. The journalists and our supposedly free press act as though they are scribes who are to write down whatever the government tells them to do. So I think it's very important to stop saying that the US is a democracy. We have institutions like Congress that are allegedly democratic. They let us vote every few years, but the end result is whatever sort of dictatorship an American president can choose. And this is in keeping with the sanctions that the US just declares that a target nation cannot do business anywhere in the world, which is one of the reasons they're angry with China. So the US says it will sanction Iran, but China steps up and shows its friendship towards Iran.
Yeah.
So there's this desperation and increased levels of seeming foolish behavior, but in the end, it can all end up very tragic.
All right. Let me bring in my guest from Shanghai, Professor Shen. You are able to talk about this from a technical point of view as well as a political point of view. On both fronts, how do you look at this issue, especially the latest signing into order of the 45-day deadline?
I think first have different aspects of these stories. The first aspect is, I think Trump is addicted to these games because it's the election year. After less than 3 months, it will be voting days. Clearly speaking, from the Chinese point of view, what the hell kind of leaders to governing countries in such kind of ways? It's a totally mess. But Trump is very clear. He needs to do something to prove he still has this capacity. He deserves to be re-elected. So he wants to do something. Then he used these times to play kind of shoes. He said that here's the threat. I deal with this threat in a very smart ways. So first, I protect the security of the United States. Second, I protect the informations of United States individuals. And third, I make a very smart deals. And fourth, I punch China, our major threat. So you see, I'm clever, powerful, and they need to be re-elected, qualified for the president. It's a political show, very pure political shows.
But allow me to interrupt here. Yeah, Professor Shen, allow me to interrupt here, and please keep it short. I mean, in the past, we've always heard China bashing before in presidential election years, right? And what is the difference between this year and previous ones? It seems that this year they're
more
doing
crazy.
More crazy. They're
more crazy.
Yeah.
More depend on these things, and maybe the final only card to play with. It's a little bit dangerous compared to the past games.
Okay. Now let's take a look at some comments we just received, and I'll ask my guests to react to these. Let's take a look at the first comment, please. Okay, from Bumpking. Are all TikTok server for US users in the USA? Where is the risk? It seems like it's only about where the profits go. Ah, right. Okay, so Ms. Kimberly, I understand the servers for the US operation, for TikTok, is in the United States and Singapore. But what about the profits part?
Well, I think, the idea, first of all, this idea that there's some threat to a Chinese company having our personal data is just a canard to continue this war by other means. Our data is in the hands of all sorts of unscrupulous American companies, especially these social media platforms, and they give our information to the U.S. government whenever the government asks. The National Security Agency has access to everything we do online. So that is, it's a red herring, as the old saying goes. It is completely false. There's no danger to, TikTok does not pose any greater threat to our data than any other social media company. So this is not something that we should give much credence to. It's used to whip up hysteria, to get public buy-in, so that no one says anything, so that no one stands up.
On the other hand, yeah, I was mentioning, we all know the most powerful spying nation in the world is Which country? Okay, we don't have to say that. And yet at this moment, and yet at this moment, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is proposing a clean network and some kind of a alliance of clean countries or clean network in countries among US's allies and partners. What exactly is the logic? How would he have the kind of guts, to talk like that and use this word clean? Professor Shen first, and then Ms. Kimberly.
Clean, I think. This clean network is very dirty or tricky ones. This clean network is more symbolic than practical. And this clean network initiations is more like remind me that in the Iraqi wars, they calling for some lines built based on the wellness. But finally, it proved that they chose the wrong side of the histories. And during, I think, after several years, when people review the development of 5G and modern technologies, people will find out all these countries who join this clean network or these companies join these clean proposals lost their final opportunities to catch up the latest technical development and lost the opportunities to make benefits for their own peoples.
Yeah. Ms. Kimberly, your thoughts to wrap up?
A clean network, it means countries that are friendly to the U.S. It means the U.S. and its vassal states, those countries that do exactly what the U.S. tells it to do. It's nonsense to all this talk of a clean network. One of the things the U.S. has against China, for example, Huawei, it's difficult for the U.S. to spy on Huawei's technology. So this clean network with friends is about the U.S. doing business with its vassal states. That's all that it amounts to.
Do as I say, but not as I do. Let's take a look at this comment, this final comment before we go. From Soyuz Maximus. China bans American apps. Why can't we ban Chinese apps? Doesn't China love equality? Okay, a tough one to Professor Shen.
As I know these stories, they're very typical misreading. China did not ban Google and ban Facebook. Take Google for very typical examples. Before the year Google withdrew from China in 2010, Google can be accessed in mainland China. And when you search in Google engines at that time, in the last of the searching result, it will say that some result has been filled out because of the local laws. In the 2010, if you read the official blogs from the Google side, Google say that I will withdraw from mainland China because I will never obey the law of this censorship. So I withdraw from mainland China to Hong Kong. It means withdraw. And after that, the Google dialogue with the Chinese government, I can providing service in mainland China, but I will not obey your laws. And I will announce that. A foreign company said that I will not obey your laws in your market, in your countries, and doing business in your market. A little bit ridiculous. And the second, you cannot. But second point, Google's advertised companies never end up in mainland China. The company is still running there.
Okay. Well, basically, the rules were laid out for these companies, right? It was a clear set of rules, and it's not just against one particular company from the United States, but it's kind of for all of these international multinational social media applications.
In short, Google refused to obey the law, and TikTok are not allowed, even they obey the law.
Yeah, there is a big difference. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Ms. Margaret Kimberly joining us from New York City, and Professor Shen Yi joining us from Shanghai. And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Headline Buster by me, Liu Xin. Many thanks for you for having followed us. Our live interaction will continue after this TV version of it. So stay online if you're there. Otherwise, see you next week. Follow me on Twitter using the handle Liu Xin in Beijing. You've got the point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right after the live end.
Sorry?
Hi.
Hello.
So the show is over.
The show is over.
Yeah.
I'm still Yeah, I feel like I still want to digest it a little bit. It's
We only have 15 minutes for the discussion.
for the discussion. Yeah, I hope the discussion has been useful. We also reacted to some comments, especially the second comment. I think it was one of the questions that a lot of people have asked about. What's the difference, between China banning foreign application and TikTok being banned in the United States? I hope it's clear. Yeah, it's a different story. In each market, you have a clear set of rules. The companies that want to come into this market, they have to gauge themselves. If you accept it, okay. Otherwise, leave, right? But for the United States, it's like for this particular company or for companies from this particular country, I have a set of rules. But for everybody else, I have different rules. Then it is very confusing. It's not a level playing field, right? Then it's not a level playing field. That's the same thing foreign companies have been complaining about China, is that, foreign companies do not enjoy level playing field. And then in the United States, they have difference that's that big. And President Trump and this administration almost do not give any time for the Chinese company to explain, to regulate, or to, work towards their standards. It's like, hey, I don't like you, and tomorrow I ban you. What is that? What is that? That is a lot of people in China are saying it's robbery. Yeah. So America made a lot of friends in China this time with this move. A lot more friends, let's say.
Okay.
All right. So
I like your red dress, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I like it. I like it too. The red, right?
Yes, the red.
Yeah. And I'm working very hard to keep my figure. 3 times a week, yoga, real practice.
Okay, so maybe next time you can teach us some yoga.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. You follow me.
Okay.
Next time I'll put on my yoga attire and I'll show you some yoga.
Okay, cool. So,
Nothing comes too cheap. Nothing comes too cheap. All right.
All right, comments.
Yeah, comments. US robbed TT and take profit from it. Yeah. The rate is great. Thank you. TikTok, because Gen Z are addicted to it and they're skipping school, which means the education is very lack. That's why. That's a new excuse. That people are addicted to it, that they're not going to school. But I think that's a kind of exaggeration. Well, in China, we have the Douyin version where a lot of young people are also addicted. But that's not, you can't say because you're so good, then you're banned, right? That's a common plague for social media. Everybody has to regulate themselves. But you can't say because you're so good, because young people are so addicted. Young people are addicted to many things. Are you going to ban everything for them? Oh, somebody asked whether I'm pregnant. No.
No. No.
What kind of questions are these? Orange. China, please step up your nuke military weapon for safeguard. Well, I hope we don't have to go there, but yeah, China has to build a strong army, right? If people invade us, we have to be able to defend ourselves. But let's hope we don't go there. Let's hope we don't go there. Love from Brazil, Paulo Roberto, our old friend. Hello. Hi from Beijing.
Hi.
Yeah, hi to our friends in Brazil. I hope the coronavirus situation is better, by the way. Go to the new markets, leave where you're marginalized, use your energies somewhere else. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to succeed in the US market comes with a heavy price, and the prospect doesn't look very good. So we have to diversify, right? Chinese companies have to diversify. Say hello to Brazil, I'm doing. Trump is going all out. Yeah. It's bad for the whole economy. Wolf, talk, I agree. It's bad for the whole world. It's bad for America as well. Look at those farmers who are relying on affordable infrastructure for their IT, for their internet connection. Wouldn't it be good to have affordable and safe and reliable solutions for your connectivity? I mean, problems can be regulated, problems can be solved if you sit down and talk about it. But the United States have decided to take a very radical approach, unfortunately. Okay. Facebook should not be used at all. Hello from Hong Kong, Angelina. Hello, back to Hong Kong from Beijing. Yeah. Do I use Douyin? Yes, I do. Not very well. I have to learn. It's something that's different from live broadcasts like this, but I will do more in the future.
Yeah. You missed the backstage.
Yeah. Okay, someone says I'm from India. Hi to our friends in India.
Hi.
Well, TikTok is banned. I hope YouTube is not. Why? Oh, all right. Yeah, young people are addicted to Facebook too. Ban that too, right? That logic doesn't work. Cigarettes make people addicted. Are we going to ban everything? You know, like that? Hello from Fremont, California. Lee Powers. Hello, back to people in California. Read your comment. Well, Angelina, hello. Who is the most handsome host on CGTN?
Cool. Tell us, Shane. Who do you think is the most handsome?
I'll post that question. I'll come back with an answer next week.
Okay.
I don't want to offend anybody.
I'll ask you again next week.
Yeah. All right. Love from Germany.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello from Phoenix, Arizona. Very nice. Yeah.
A lot of friends from
Hello from Canada. Wow. I'm the best. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Hello from Australia. Keep up the good work. Yeah. Banning TikTok is piracy. Stop spamming. Yeah, some people should stop spamming. I don't know what that signs means. Anyway. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the show. I wanted to bring some Chinese gifts or Chinese schnick-schnack, but I'll do it next time. There are so many choices. I don't know what to choose. Maybe you can give me some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah?
Cool.
Okay. Young? Yeah, next time we find something?
Sure.
Yeah?
So our audience, don't miss the opening. Next week we'll bring you some Chinese gifts, right?
Some Chinese gifts next week?
Okay.
So about 10:30 a.m. Beijing time next Friday. 10:45.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, in some of the places it must be late. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. See you next week. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Oh, kiss. Bye-bye. Kiss me bye.